We are. You Change the World is coming back this week on a Thursday. It's not always a Thursday, but it is a Thursday today. And I'm very happy to have everybody coming here and joining. It's 1 o'clock in New York. And whatever time it is in your time zone, welcome to this show and welcome to Sarah, who is Sarah Guadagno, who is with us today and accepted my invitation. Thank you, Sarah, for being with us.
Thanks, Andre.
So, here we talk about different things. We talk about definitely the theme is leadership. The theme is how to bring yourself to this role in any kind of context where you are. And that's also how you bring yourself to have an impact. Sometimes you are intentional about it, sometimes it's just coming naturally to you. And I think that I'm fascinated by what I know, the little I know about Sarah. That's why I'm really happy to have her with us. I also would like to give a 30 seconds housekeeping, right? We are on multiple channels. So for whoever is on YouTube, let me just tell you, welcome to YouTube, but please subscribe for those who are not yet subscribing, because it's really very conditional to, in fact, the quality of what we do and our motivation and the team. So it is increasing. It is starting to show some momentum. So thank you for those who are subscribing, and please, those who did not yet, feel free to do so. Secondly, this is also recording on the podcast of all the different Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all. So please, for those who are also interested to come back or see the recordings, where you know where to find them. You have also the website, www.coachingpath.com. And also another one, by the way, a new one. So I invite you to come and visit it. It's called Mindset, Spotlight Mindset. Sorry, Spotlight Mindset. You can even imagine what it means, Spotlight Mindset.com. All right, so now I did my introductions, I did my housekeeping, and now I'm asking the embarrassing question to Sarah to give us a little bit of her background, whatever she wants to share, to introduce herself to those who don't know her.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this invitation. What a thrill it was to receive your request to participate in your webcast. Really thrilled to do that. A little bit about me.
Yes.
Well, I have a love for science. I did my undergraduate degree in chemistry, PhD in pharmacology, cancer biology, did a couple of postdoctoral fellowships, and then went on to work making antibodies for research, and then moved into the pharma industry in 2001. I've had an amazing career in pharma, working in the medical affairs area of pharma, working in the field, working in-house in medical communications, and culminating in an amazing role leading a very large team of about 70 people most recently. I've also been a consultant as well, so it's been a great journey for me.
Yes.
And one where I've had to, maybe reinvent my style, my abilities, my leadership over time, depending on the size of the team, the company, what was happening, mergers, acquisitions of products, layoffs, all that. So it's been quite a journey, but I made it through, and somehow, and yeah, here I am talking with you today. And you and I met probably about a year ago, almost. Right. I think right around this time last year.
About a year ago, absolutely. Yeah. And things change very quickly, in 1 year, especially in this time.
For me, they have indeed. Yes.
So one thing I think, when we talk about leadership and to inspire our audience about this, is that I'm always trying to see, what's the DNA of everybody I meet with, and something I think maybe could represent you, but I just don't know. You'll tell me. It's the adaptability, because you describing changes,
yeah.
and you seem to be pretty stable in terms of who you represent and how you bring yourself to this. So what is the secret sauce here?
Well, I mean, I will say I'm not a person who shies away from change. I really embrace change. I like change. I've changed companies
Right.
over time. I've worked at a lot of different companies, either by choice or by accident, meaning the company got acquired and moved to a new company. I've worked in small and large teams. I think, I've done, even though I've stayed within the realm of medical affairs, I've done a lot of different roles within the medical affairs arena and been at multiplicity of different companies. And I'm the kind of person who really loves that change. And not everyone does. Some people, like the safety and security of being in the same company or organization or in the same role.
Right.
But I've really enjoyed the change. So change is something that I'm not very afraid of.
Okay. So
Maybe
that's
my husband thinks I'm not afraid enough of change.
well, I think he's very tough on you here. We knew. I mean, I can tell that everybody I meet everybody every day have the challenge of this, and
Mhm.
especially lead people who have the challenge
Yeah.
of bearing change, and those are resisting change. And how do you lead that? How do you kind of bring people in? And what changed,
Mhm.
especially over the years, in the style of our leaders?
Mhm.
Because that's the interesting part. So, how and why, especially why, you picked the medical field when this thing is ticked into your head that you wanted to be in the medical field?
Well, I mean, I've always loved science,
Yes.
and from my junior high onward, and I knew I wanted to do a career in the science field. Originally started out thinking, maybe I want to be a bench scientist and work in a lab, and that wasn't, I think, really my forte. I really liked when I got into the role in pharma, and had the opportunity, really, in a way, a little bit by happenstance, but just had an opportunity to get into pharma and medical affairs. I felt like it really resonated with me. And the medical affairs organization sits at the crossroads between research and development and commercial. And as a medical affairs professional, in one way or another, you are communicating data and information to healthcare providers, affiliated healthcare provider members, and then sometimes also even to patients. So it's
Right.
a real opportunity of communicating data to people who need it to make informed decisions, healthcare decisions. And it's just been something that I've really loved doing over the years and have a real passion for.
So, okay, that's a great way of answering my question, because I mean, really, science is definitely what it is. The medical field,
Yeah,
the pharma industry. So you said that you had in
communication, I guess,
and
too. Yeah,
communications.
yeah,
That's the point. Yeah, that's the point.
yes.
So if you could, I mean, we have only it's a very short time, 30 minutes, but I would be interested maybe to share to have you share a little bit more about the role, especially maybe the latest one, that could
Oh,
represent maybe the point you reached, in other words, in
sure.
your career.
Well, yeah, I mean, happy to do that. So I came into an organization that was undergoing some changes and a move to a new city. There
Yes.
were a number of people who were deciding to leave because they didn't want to relocate, and moving from New Haven to Boston, big move, and an organization that needed to be reorganized
Yeah.
and built up from the beginning, and adding people. Some people were leaving as well, and that was really a tremendous opportunity. I've never built such a large team. I've always enjoyed building teams, but I've never had the opportunity to build such a large team, and that was really a challenge and an opportunity of bringing people together, bringing some diverse functions within the scope of my sort of role that I was going to be leading. So in this case, for anybody out there who's in medical affairs, it was bringing together roles in scientific communications, medical information, medical review, medical training, and then some innovation. So, some functions that can sit in different places sometimes, and bringing those people together and then forming a team that had a kind of a vision to move ahead together and to work together. These are teams that hadn't worked together previously. And I spent a lot of the time building that, team spirit, camaraderie, and hopefully helping to elevate the team members on my team to grow and develop them. And that's something that over the years I developed a real passion for. Some people call it servant leaders, if you will, but it's somebody, and I hope I was able to do that, but it's somebody who really thinks about the team and their growth and the people on the team and how to, help them build their careers rather than focusing maybe only on your own career. So my job was kind of to get out of the way and help people try to build the organization and to, empower the team to show up and add a lot of value. I think in many ways, I hope it was successful. And I hope that I helped folks on my team, build their brand, reputation, and ability. We underwent an acquisition, so that was, another challenge. So there were a variety of challenges along the way, but that was my goal. And I think as leaders, of course, we hope that we did a good job or we try to do the best we can, but of course it's not always the case, not everyone.
Yeah. If you try to remember, maybe one thing that would characterize this thing that you're describing, because what you're describing, the servant leader aspect, but especially giving the space for people to develop themselves and being a leader, being right. When I hear what you're saying, right, is that you leave a lot of space. In other words, there's people who have to develop themselves. They're going to play a role. There is expectations, all the things that you, of course, have to clearly make sure that people understand. But then they are with themselves. They are on their own. They own something.
Yes.
And this is what I feel you're saying. And this is true leadership. Not only that it is true leadership, but it is how many times I have to say everybody to people every day as a coach, please let go, don't get involved.
Hard.
So, and here I hear you saying that this was your style. So if you could remember maybe one story you could share, one of someone who received that kind of leadership and you could really see a tangible change and a lot of growth for that person under your leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of one situation where someone on my team, they were doing a good job, but I think that they themselves didn't really love the role that they were in. And I think one of the most gratifying things you can do as a leader is help someone identify maybe another thing that they're good at or another aspect of something that they might be good at doing and help lead them in that direction. And for this particular person, I was able to make a recommendation to say, I know you're doing this now, but this over here seems like it really fits with kind of who you are as, as an area that you might be interested in. It's more innovative. It might give you a chance to shine. And that person took the opportunity, and I still keep in touch with them, and they're incredibly happy in their new role. And it's quite different from the role that they had when I came into the organization. So I think, one of the most gratifying things as a leader is helping maybe someone identify something in themselves that they might be really good at and helping them get there. There's no greater pleasure in that. And that's maybe an anecdote that is just, I really love to think about, that I help someone get, find another direction, not completely different from where they were, but different. And that it's been such a great opportunity for them.
Yeah. Do you remember someone leading you that made that kind of impact on you?
I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with many, great leaders. I think that me personally, I don't think I had that happen where somebody identified something. I think it's something I've asked of leaders, but it's not super common, I have to say. Maybe it's a little bit lacking. I think I think it's also when sometimes you can get yourself into a role and you can be good at it, and people somehow can only see you in that role.
Right.
And they have a hard time seeing you doing other things. It's maybe the challenge because you see this person and maybe they're really good at what they're doing. You know that they want maybe a different opportunity, but you don't really want them to go because they're on your team and they're doing such a
Yes.
good job and
Efficient.
they have all these things that they're delivering. You don't want to live without. So I mean, that I think that is a tough one. I
Okay.
had, I've had this opportunity and it happened, but I will say it doesn't happen every day, and it's
No,
it's
no.
a challenge.
No, it's more about people that influence you, the role models that you come across.
Yes.
It is about that.
Yeah.
But we hear that, and it's very, very interesting, fascinating, in fact. So this, the name I attempted to give to this show is "You Change the World," because I think that we all do, but we don't realize that we do, and especially leaders do. So if you
Yeah.
take someone's life, like you described a few minutes ago, because that person might discovers, thanks to your leadership and your openness and your curiosity, opening your eyes on that person and seeing the potential, the expansion, all of that.
Hmm.
It's amazing, and that's very rare. And I think that can change someone's life, and consequently, the ripple effect is the whole world is changing. So in these times, and we always say it's our difficult times. Why they are difficult, we can go forever to explain what they might be difficult personally and difficult globally.
Yeah.
But there's many
Hmm.
people who are feeling a little lost today. It's difficult
Yeah.
to have benchmarks to see things clearly. So
Hmm.
for yourself, maybe did you have any times like that? Was it and what did you do about it? Because that's what in
Oh
fact
yeah.
we want to know.
Well,
No, I
Andre,
don't.
because we right. So, well, obviously, I mean, who I think every many people point to the pandemic as being a real turning
Yes.
point for them, right? It was a time in which we were probably as knowledge workers. I have a job as a knowledge worker, right? We were working, maybe nonstop, 24/7 Zoom calls, day in, day out, trying to
Mm.
deal with family and home situation. I didn't have little kids at the time, but many of my colleagues did. So very challenging situation. And I think the pandemic also brought a lot of things into focus for people about, life is short and is this really what I want to be doing? And
Right.
that kind of thing. Layered on top of that, the company that I was at was in the middle of an acquisition. And then on top of that, I had a personal health, crisis, if you will, situation. And for me, maybe all of those things together made me reflect a little bit on, I think one of the topics we're going to talk about is quality of life.
Yes.
And, I think, many of us in these careers, we have, we are very type A. We want to do a good job. We tend to probably overwork a bit. And we have trouble kind of integrating work and life together. And coupled with layer on the pandemic, a health crisis, and a merger or an acquisition, and you're kind of in a bit of a pressure cooker. So, for me, all of those things, and then an illness of a very close family member made me think about more about my own life, my own quality of life, and what I was doing, and was that aligning to my goals and objectives. I also had the opportunity to, and I'll recommend this class to anyone who's interested, is I took a free class that's from Yale called The Science of Well-Being. It's on Coursera. It's taught by Laurie Santos. And it
Hmm.
talks about the things that we think are going to make us happy, whether that's, I mean, money, good grades,
Hmm.
achievements, accolades, position titles, Oftentimes, actually, they don't. And we have a tendency to kind of miswant these things. Yes, they do make us happy for a minute or two or a short period of time, but you get this adaptation. They call it hedonic adaptation. So you get adapted,
Yes.
and then they don't really make you happy anymore. And so it's other things like experiences and doing things that actually can make us happy. So I was definitely at a point in time and where I wanted to make a change. And I think that, I made a decision to give myself a pink slip. And you talked about in a previous
Right.
episode about, preparing to get a pig slip. So you have to kind of have your own employment
True.
contract with yourself.
Right.
So I, had this employment contract with myself where I decided that I needed to make a change and take a step back and evaluate what I wanted to do moving forward. As much as I loved the team and my organization and all the things that I was doing and my job, I felt that because of these circumstances, I needed to take a step back. And I did do that in August of last year. And I have to say that these past 8, 9 months have been really amazing, so life-changing. I've been able to embrace, you know, change, opportunity, try different things, sleep for 8 hours, not spend all day long on email. And, I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. Not everyone has that opportunity. I recognize that, not everyone can walk away from a job. But for me, I had the opportunity and I decided to take it. And it's been really an amazing experience and one that I'm very, very grateful for.
And if you share some, thank you for sharing this part of your life. This is amazing, and this is really right in the core of. I would love to have guests sharing, because there's not so many who do take that kind of step, especially at that stage of your career where you were really
Mhm.
in a very high responsibility stake position. So I think that I really, you just said it. We own our destiny. And when you just
Yes.
take ownership of that, then things can completely change, and you don't leave that destiny to anyone else but you. So that's the point.
Mhm.
That's the real simple point. Now, what
Yeah.
was not but was not the thing is, it's
No.
not pretty smooth and easy, but maybe
Mhm.
how did you feel about? I mean, there was probably some progression of feelings emotionally, and
Oh,
this.
100%. I mean, there's been nights that I've woken up and said, "Oh my God, what did I just do?" And then there's been other times when I've said, "This is the most amazing thing that I've ever done in to have that kind of freedom." And there's just a lot of good resources. I've had the luxury of time. I call it time abundance or time affluence, which is something that's another thing that they talk about in the science of well-being, that the ability to have time is actually the greatest thing, that the gift that you can get. So I've had a chance to reflect, and these transitions, don't expect that you're going to do one thing and then wake up the
Right.
next day and, oh, it's going to be amazing, right? There's a lot of back and forth, but I think in the long run, if you can say more greater good came out of it than bad. Certainly, I made a financial adjustment and I left things behind that were valuable, but the value, I think, was more in my time, myself, the opportunity. And it's an investment that's going to reap many more rewards from my health, my well-being, and even other future opportunities that I haven't even thought of yet. And I think that, but as you say, it is not a smooth transition, and it's one fraught with, concerns,
Yes.
right? Worries. Did
Right.
I make the right choice? Should I have not? Of course, those are big, big questions. And, I can't say what's right for someone else. But for me, I can say unequivocally, it was a fantastic decision, and one in which I'm just feel lucky
Right.
to have made that choice.
So I'm sure that everybody's curious because we have only 5 minutes left. It's very time is flying here. But the so what is it that you do today?
Right.
No
Well, I
science.
actually do, yeah, I do a
Right.
mix of things. So I still do some similar things to what I did in the past. I'm doing some independent consulting. I had the opportunity to do some teaching, and that has been a wonderful opportunity. I've been able to help people, not teaching in science, but actually teaching people how to prepare their resumes and their job applications for entry-level roles in pharma biotech. And then I've been helping my husband who's starting his own business. So we have a joint venture starting an artisanal bread bakery, which was a career change for him,
Right.
and just doing something completely different, which is scary because we're investing our finances in it, but it's incredibly rewarding to be able to be, your own boss and build something and help him with that business. So I can say my life is rich,
Yes.
with
Yes.
engaging with people like you, and with connecting with new people on LinkedIn, with new opportunities, and just doing a variety of things that I did not really envision even a year ago.
There's a lot of so many questions that could come to my mind to ask you, but I try also to be in the place of those who are watching and listening, and I'm just
Mm.
thinking of one that would probably be in French we'd say tickling me. I don't know if we say in English. A question that tickles me. Do you say that? I don't think so. But
Yeah, yeah, or just yeah.
anyway, I'm hungry to ask. Well,
Okay,
this is about working with your husband, right? It's not
right.
always something that I personally recommend to anyone. So, so
I get it.
what about the secret here? Another secret that you
Well, yes. I mean, it's interesting. Yes. And funny enough, my husband and I met in grad school, and we even did a postdoc in the same lab. And I don't know that we have the most compatible work styles, but I think the opportunity to build something together, and in this case, because, when I was having this very heavy duty job, he was really kind of the support. And now for this, the tables are turned. I'm able to really provide that support for him as he pursues and has the opportunity to pursue something for himself. So I think, whether it's a partner, a friend, or a spouse, or whoever, having the opportunity to support someone to do something in a lot of ways was kind of what I was trying to do in my prior role as a
right.
leader in supporting my team. So
Okay.
it's I won't say that we get along perfectly, but I think it's been a great learning
If you keep the
experience.
quality at the top and the quality of your relationship
Yes,
and the quality of the couple,
yes,
then you'll have the right boundaries in place, I'm sure. But it's not
yeah,
something, it's already a partnership in general is a very difficult thing. Then you bring the
yeah.
partnership to the business world, even more challenging. There's money, all of these things, and of course potential conflict. But if you have the right boundaries, you set the stage,
Right,
in other words, of that relationship separately from the other relationships. I
right,
think it's possible.
right,
It's doable. It's doable. We saw this
right.
happening. We saw that successfully happening. So I
Yes.
can only wish you not only the best of luck on that, but to continue your journey with this
Thank you.
consistency of prioritizing quality. I think this is really the thing that will probably keep you moving on the right direction. The last thing maybe I would ask you, only 1 minute left. What can I ask you for 1 minute? But maybe is there anything that comes to mind that you would like to maybe share? And I'm not asking you anything else.
Well, I just think for those your listeners or anyone
Yeah.
out there who hears this, if you can, a change is always uncomfortable, but we're always going through change, whether it's in the companies we work for or change that we bring about. And my advice or feedback would be try to embrace it.
Right.
And it won't always feel comfortable, but in the end, I think that you can get so such amazing and unexpected things out of it, and maybe try not to overplan and let life happen.
Fantastic. I love it. I really do. I think it's a very, very timely type of testimonial, I would call it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Andre,
Carrie, for joining me in here and for joining
what a
everybody.
pleasure.
And
Appreciate
hopefully
it.
we'll see you again. Maybe we'll do another time.
Oh,
Okay.
I hope